Hey guys, it's your host Stacy Ike, and we have a special guest for you here on Spotlight On, so make sure you stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hey. The fact that you're Nigerian and we're Nigerian, this music dropping.
It's like a Nigerian love fest right
You
now.
know,
Nigeria, they carry love. We did for this
Listen, I
place.
can't get emotional today. I can't get emotional. Guys, what's up? It's your host, Stacy Ike, here at AFTERBUZZ TV on Spotlight On, and I am so excited to introduce our guest for today, Miss Yvonne Orji, who I just love, admire, adore. Look at the hair. Look at the hair. Please introduce yourself properly.
I think you did a great job.
Okay, I'm just
Hi
making
guys,
sure.
I'm Yvonne Orji. This is true story.
Yes, I love it. I'll give your social media handle just so they can have that.
At Yvonne Orji, O-R-J-I. Get your minds out the gutter. It is O-R-J-I, but all one word.
Okay, how many times do you get that joke?
I mean, when I get to heaven, I'm going to ask God a lot of questions. I just feel like there's a lot of false advertising, and I mean...
Oh my God, right. Like,
Yeah.
okay. And you guys, you can check me out on Twitter and Instagram at One Take Stace during the interview and beyond. Again, thank you so much for joining us. I'm really so honored, honestly, to like be watching your journey so up close and just be here with you, because I remember when we first met and even to now, like, you still have the exact same energy, but you just have this energy about you that's like, hey, so you want to be a bomb and I want to be bomb and we're going to be bomb and
Let's be bomb
everybody be
together.
bomb. And I'm like, that sounds great. Like, and I remember reacting like that. I was like, that's awesome. I just,
things we should do.
I only met you once, like, you know, and so it's really in awe. Like, how has everything changed for you? Maybe let's say in the past year.
Oh man, a lot happens in a year.
Yeah.
I would say maybe like a year and a half. I was 5 seconds from moving back to Maryland. I mean, like, you know what, Mom and Dad, you guys win. I tried these dreams, they didn't work. I'm so sorry. To now, like, going back home, like, Mommy, hey, we have made it. God is good. Look at us. You know, like, you know, it's really, it was a faith walk. I can't even. I wouldn't be here if I didn't believe. If I just was like, okay, God, you got one more chance.
Yeah.
And he was like, you telling me I got one more chance? Like, do you know who I am? But just really put the pedal to the metal and started writing, and I was like, I'm gonna have to create. Sorry, I have like hair in my eyes.
Oh,
Sorry guys,
fine.
this is live. What? There we go, fixed it. Yeah, I just started creating, and I was like, the only way to get out of whatever this is to just tell my own story, create my own way out. And that's what we started doing with First Gen, which is a pilot that I wrote about loosely based on my life.
Right. I don't think it's that loose though. Like, I was kind of, why was I like feeling like you? I said, is this my little sister writing about me? What is really going on?
I feel like I have to keep saying loosely because it's just like, no,
Oh, okay.
it's not all.
Yeah, of
it's not all, but
course.
it's mostly based
Right.
on my
I'm like,
life.
of course, there's got to be a little bit of over exaggeration, but I think because I am Nigerian and especially Nigerian American and in the same industry and watching it, I'm
get
like,
it.
oh my gosh, I get it. And I was like, girl, I had to send it to one of my friends who's Indian American. I said, baby girl, because she's my neighbor.
Yeah.
I said, this is our life. This is us.
Oh, yeah.
So take us back to a year and a half. You're at this moment, and to me, based on like everything I saw, a year and a half, I mean, you've been killing it since you got here, to me. So I know that changes. Everybody has their thing, you know, everybody on the outside has a personal view, but there's a lot to go through. So take us back to a year and a half and kind of what switched it for you.
Well, you know what? So I've actually been on this journey for August makes 10 years. I started doing stand-up comedy August of 2006. That was the first time ever I was on stage. And then, you know, I have a master's in public health. So I was still working in public health, and I was just like, I just don't think entertainment is a thing yet. I don't know. So I ended up working in Liberia, and then I came back in 2009, and there was a recession in America, and I was like, oh wait, maybe this is the perfect decoy. Nobody else has a job, so I'll just move to New York and do entertainment, and so I can tell my parents, like, nobody else is walking. It's not just me. And then that's like my way. Like, it was like so backwards in my thinking.
So good though.
But it worked.
Yeah.
And so I moved to New York. So I was in New York from 2009 to 2011. And then I came out here on an internship. So it was just like a random unpaid writer's internship. And I was like, what's the writer's room? And when I was there, I met Stacey Evans Morgan and Bentley Kyle Evans, and they were working on this show called Love That Girl, which Martin Lawrence was producing. Yeah. And so I just got a chance to be in the writer's room, learn how jokes worked. And I was telling Stacey, like, yeah, I was supposed to be a doctor, but I have a master's degree and I didn't go to med school, but like now I do comedy. And she's like, so wait a minute.
Right.
Are you writing this story? And I was like, no, it's not really a story. It's just like the plight of every immigrant.
It's just like what happened.
She was like, this is just our life. She was like, well, I'm not an immigrant, and I think it's funny. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I started working on First Gen, like 2011, 2012-ish maybe. But, you know, you're working for other people, you're making money, you're like, oh, this is great. Who needs my own dreams? Like, I'll just keep doing this. Right. And, of course, like around 2013-ish, like the show ended. I'd written for a season, and I was like, what do I do next? And it was just like this like moment of, and God reminded me, he was like, you have this other thing. And I just kept pushing it to the side, You know, I said comedy was like my gateway drug. Yeah. Because even though like I loved comedy, I always wanted to act. Right, but I was just like, no one's giving me an opportunity. Right. And cut to, so I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to write this thing. I'm going to put myself in it. And that's what we did. We shot a trailer. So now I'm taking you to like April of 2014. We raised the money, we shot the trailer, we released it in April, it went viral, and then my team and I, we got in contact with David Oyelowo, and so it was just like, whoa, this is like awesome, we're talking with David. Right. And he was just like, I love this project, I saw it already, and you know, like, what's up? And so now it's just like a thing that we're doing, and it's crazy. But then in the interim, Issa is like, hey, HBO just picked up my show, and you should audition. I was like, okay.
There's so many things in this story, guys. That like
I'm skipping a couple steps.
Meat. No, it's not even that. It's not even that. There's so much meat. Like if we go back to First Gen and your personal project, how did you find the right people to trust with that? Like, because that's a team effort. Yeah. And I really admire the way the trailer was done, and even like the episodes and just the stuff behind it. So, who's on the team? Like, who did you decide to trust and how?
K.O. Yegun, who's actually a writer on Queen Sugar. Can't wait to see that.
Oh my gosh. With Ava DuVernay.
She amazing.
It's gonna be so good.
So Kay, like, kind of has been there from like inception. Like, she's an amazing writer. She worked at ABC, and I would just kind of like bounce scripts to her and just be like, hey, what do you think about this version? She would, you know, always give me notes and that kind of thing. And so we worked together on doing the on doing the pilot presentation with another young lady named Chika Chukwudubelu, who works at BET. And so then Marquita Bradley got added to the mix, and she's the one who actually was just so bold and reached out. She was like, I feel like we can just get in touch with, you know, David's manager, like, then get in touch with David's manager. And then she calls back and she's like, so I just spoke with David's manager and we have another call. I was like, who are you? And it just, you know, it's never easy to trust your baby with people. But for me, I was just like, I want to do a show with my friends. Like, I want it to feel like it's not work. I want it to feel like this is a thing that we can all kind of have a stake in. Kate got it because Kate's Nigerian. Marquita was like, well, I'm not Nigerian, but I'm from the South. She's like, I'm from the South. And, you know, this story is very universal because I'm the only one in my family that's not doing something traditional. And so it's kind of like that story. It's like it's a universal underdog story when you're trying to live a dream and go a path that is very unorthodox. And what do you do? So I think everybody kind of, it makes sense for the three of us who are on the team.
To be the team. That's so awesome. And you kind of brought up another point that I love and I think is so meaty. You're the youngest of your siblings.
I'm the youngest of my siblings.
The only girl.
Only girl.
Let's chit chat about that life.
Whoa.
Because there's something to say. You know, it's not middle child syndrome. It's not the oldest. It's the last and the only girl.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on. And then, do you mind me asking, what do your brothers do? All three of your older brothers.
So my one brother is in computers. So he's like computer science. So that's the tech
guy.
And
Cool.
then,
Safe.
My other brother has his like MBA from Georgetown. So he's in real estate investing.
Right.
And then my other brother graduated from Howard, but he's a boxer. So he's like, I love boxing.
Wow.
Yes,
okay, so
exactly.
I think the boxer gave you a little more leeway.
You know, maybe-ish, a little bit. But it was still very much like, no, these are just hobbies, right? These are just hobbies. Because he's like, oh, he's in school, he's in college. These are just hobbies. Right. Until he's like, I'm fighting professionally.
So I know that it's, you know, I definitely understand, or go back to 2011 or even 2006 when you're like, listen, mom and dad, or even 2009, you know, whatever. What's the conversation like now? Not necessarily like, I'm successful, look how this worked out. It's more like, do they still have reservations about like tax or like life in general in LA in a sense?
You know, it's all every immigrant, and I kind of say it in the trailer, all every immigrant kind of wants is bragging rights, but that's so like reduced. It's not bragging rights. It's really just to make sure that you will be safe and taken care of, like in whatever you're doing.
Oh my gosh,
and it's especially speaking from Nigerian point of view, there is no social security in Nigeria. So like our parents sacrificed so much to bring us to this country so that we are the return on their investment. So if it's not like legitimately, we are their social security retirement. We are their health insurance. You know, so it's kind of like, it makes sense. If you're a doctor, when I'm going to get old, so when I'm old, I can just go to you for checkups. You're a comedian. I don't need comedy in my life. Like, how does this actually assist me when I'm 85?
Oh my gosh.
And also it's just like, okay, we know everybody who's like, who's engineering or who's a dentist or who's a pharmacist. They know they have a house. You know, they can pay their mortgage. They can live. How many people who are comics and actresses are successful? Like, how many of these people make it? And it's just like, we don't have a point of reference for someone who's made it. And so it's not like all immigrant parents are just like trying to like dissuade their kids from pursuing entertainment. It's just, we're afraid that you're not going to make it, and that scares us because we sacrifice so much so that you can make it.
Plus,
if that
they
makes
don't
sense.
have that experience personally. You know, it's not even point of reference is definitely true too. But when they haven't gone through it, they don't know how to help you through it.
But what's interesting is, and I think this with Agatha and Joanna is like, we're a lot like our parents in that like. Do you understand what that meant to leave everything that was so familiar to you to come to this country that was so foreign to you? That takes a lot of like kahunas. That takes a lot of, just unashamedly, unabashed, like we're going to make it. Well, it's the same thing with entertainment. It's, I left everything that was familiar. I moved to this town that I knew no one in and just was like, I'm going to make it. We're going to figure it out. And it's funny that it's like, doesn't translate like that. But for me, I'm like, I see the parallels. And I call it, African woman syndrome, because it's just like,
you guys, there's a name for everything. Seriously, like there is a definition for it all, just in case you're going through it.
Oh yeah, I call it African woman syndrome in that I felt like, you know what? I got a baby on my back. We are going to go get this water from the well. We're going to make it. Like, how dare you tell me I'm not going to make it? And so, because, I watch my mom. My mom is strong. She's been a nurse for 30-something years at Howard University Hospital. She just retired. And I was just like, you're the strongest woman I know. Like, you and my dad, you guys raised 4 kids. You made a way. I was like, I think we poor, but somehow you put me through GW for 4 years at $60,000 a year. Like, how did we do this? And it was just like, we'll do what we have to do. There's no looking back. Just go. And you're like,
have to do. I love that.
So I call it African woman syndrome. Like in that there's no looking back. We just figure it out.
Okay, so then we transitioned to the first form of figuring it out. 8 months, no car, on the bus.
Oh my gosh. So you know me. You know me.
I was beyond impressed and in love at that point. That's when I realized she was real, y'all.
Oh, it's real.
The dream was not a joke. So even in the midst of doing comedy and experiencing that, because to me, when I see comedians, I feel like you guys deal with a lot more vulnerability than people give you credit for. And it's very vulnerable to be out there talking about your stories. Even if you're making it funny or embellishing or whatever, it's still your story. In that midst of everything, first 8 months, first year, what did your comedy look like?
Well, my comedy's always been this kind of like this reflection on everyday things, but through an immigrant lens. You know, it's the dual citizenship, if you will, that I kind of have, this lens of I'm American, but I'm African. So what does this look like?
Right.
You know, even talking about there's a drought in LA, and I'm like, they've been talking about this drought for a while. You know what a drought in Nigeria is? It's called Tuesday. Like it's every day. It's just like, and I'm like, there's a drought, but water still comes out of my faucet. Like Americans are such good planners. It's like in 25 years there will be no more water left. For like 25 years, today there's no more water left. Like it's. Like, what do you mean 25 years? And so I'm just like, for me, I think it's interesting. Like, man, this is why Western things like work. But I'm like, man, when we say there's a drought, we mean like there's no more water. I thought today there's no water tomorrow. Like we don't know what we're gonna drink.
Like it's a serious.
It's like it's actually happening right now. But like I think about things like that. Like, oh, this is interesting. Like I see food lines and I'm like. Oh, like Shake Shack. Shake Shack just kind of opened up out here, and there's lines. What is this? In-N-Out Burger lines, and I was like, I refuse to stand in a food line. My people, hey, they stood in line for food, and me. You think of, so it's just like I can't. This is like ridiculous. Like African standing in food lines. So it was all
personal and real, even at that point.
It was personal and real because, like, I mean, the best humor is like from a source that is relatable. Obviously it's heightened to a certain extent, but it's like you take something real and then you're like, how do I flip it? How do I make it happen? But what was interesting for me was I started off comedy in corporate settings, like churches, youth events, weddings. So I host weddings, so it's a thing that I do now. Like it's mostly Nigerian things, but then my American friends found out that I host weddings, and they're like, "Can you host my wedding?" So I'm like the ultimate hype woman at your wedding. But I started off like getting paid. Like it was like normal to do like a 5-minute set and get $500. I was like, well, I will never be a doctor now. This is amazing. And then I moved to New York, and they're like, oh, bringer shows. I was like, what? I'm saying, what is this? Like, what am I bringing? I'm just not bringing myself and my funniness. And they're like, no, you got to bring like 5 friends, paying $10 plus a 2-drink minimum. I was like, I don't have any friends. I just got off a bus, like
to get here.
Like I'm here, and they were like, no. So in my mind, I was like, oh, I don't know what this mainstream comedy life is, but that's not the will of Jesus. Like I'm not gonna eat off of this. Like I was used to getting checks. Now I'm like, I got to pay you for stage time. So it was just like I got to figure something else out. Like in my, again, African women syndrome, I was like, how do I run my own show? Because that can actually guarantee that I will be on at least once a week, and then I'll get to meet other comedians, and then that way I'll just bypass all this. I was always like, how do we bypass the foolishness? Yes. And it wasn't like I'm trying to skip steps purposely. I was just like, that's not gonna work for me. Like I'm not here just chilling. I'm on a mission because I got to go back home on holidays, and they gotta.
And I even wonder that now, like. Okay, so even when you're talking about the New York to LA move, what was that decision like? I mean, for you personally, and then having the conversation with family.
Well, for me, I'm kind of not even like a nomad. For me, I'm just like, I'll prosper wherever I'm planted. So put me like
tweet it, write it down. If you didn't hear it again, say it again one more time for them. Tell them again.
I will prosper wherever I'm planted, and I just believe that, and I think I'm conditioned and I'm used to starting over. I went to boarding school when I was 12 years old. And it's such an African thing. Like, by the time I was about to get into 9th grade, I was like, so where am I going? Great. Pennsylvania? Wonderful. Because all my brothers went to boarding school. Like, it was almost like the rite of passage in my house. So I was looking forward to boarding school. So my birthday's in December, so I'm always the youngest. So at 12, my mom was like, okay, your bags are packed. Are you ready to go? I'm like, yes. So, like, moving away from home, it's never like I'm going to miss my friends and family. It was just like, well, you start over. This is what you do. Like, you just keep going and you reinvent yourself, or you add to yourself, or you make it happen. Like, I don't think it was ever a thought like, oh my gosh, I'm going to move to LA. It was just really like, I got the internship 2011. I kept coming back like for different hosting gigs. And then Stacy again she said, you're wasting a lot of money on plane tickets. You probably should just move. And I was like, okay. And it was just kind of like makes sense. Yeah. Because it was like, I'd done already a couple years in New York. I was like, why not try LA?
What did you bring to LA from New York? Anything you like? any pizzazz, anything that you learn, anything that you're like, that I have to take with me to be a part of the grind?
What I bring everywhere I go is opportunities are lying in plain view. And everybody doesn't notice them. And so for me, it was always like, how do we maximize this moment, whatever it is? So it's like, great, I'm going to a networking event for someone random. Okay, well, make sure you have your cards. Make sure that, you have some kind of a talking point, like just something. Like for me, it was always, I knew I wanted to do acting, but then I was realistic and I said, well, listen, there are a lot of Black girls that come to LA for acting.
Right.
That's not gonna cut it. Like, what else?
Right.
And so I said, you know what? I can be just a Black actress, or I can be a Nigerian American stand-up comedian, hostess, I think that right there is a conversation starter, as opposed to like, what do you do? I'm an actress. Have we seen you on any? Oh, sit down.
Yes.
But what do you do? Oh, I'm a comedian. Really? Yeah, I'm Nigerian American, and I do clean comedy. It's like, are you performing somewhere? Actually, yeah, I am tomorrow night. And it's like, that's a conversation piece. Like now people can actually come and see you.
Right.
It helps kind of prolong the advance the journey, if you will.
Yes.
So I think what I brought from me was just working with what you have. I think so many people want to do the other thing and like, I'm not going to do this because I want to do that. And it's like, okay, but you do this and this leads you to that.
Right.
And you just be faithful in this and be good. Because my thing was, I just brought excellence. I was like, never am I going to get on stage and give you a half-hearted performance.
Right.
One, I don't know who's on stage, who's in the audience. Two, why would I do that?
For yourself, for your brand. I mean, come on.
It's your brand. So every time you go up, for me, every time I went up, it was a show. So it's not like, are you ready for this big show? It's like, everyone's a big show.
Yeah.
Every single last opportunity is a big show.
So even in that, this is something that I love asking comedians and anybody who's in the arts, self-sabotage. Did you experience it? How did you get through it? There has to be, and I from what I was reading and learning and loving, there had to be moments of up and down, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
There's a couple moments of depression. There's a couple moments of, Jesus, why? What are you doing in those moments? How are you getting through it? And especially the word self-sabotage. I think it's something that we don't really take seriously, I guess. And how did you overcome?
There's no other way for me to kind of like, there's no way to say this other than the only reason that I'm here is legitimately because I heard from God in 2006 to do comedy. And I was just like, you got the wrong chick. Like, that don't make no sense. Like, I've never done comedy. Right. First of all, I have a strong fear of rejection. I mean, who doesn't? But like, I came from a background of being picked on. So I was bullied for years. I was like, why would you do this to me? And literally, I just trusted him so much. I was like, this is so left field. And the only way I can do this and actually make it is if you're with me along the journey. Like, to be honest. And it's like, I can do the things in the natural, but I'm only on here because you told me to. Like, I don't even want to be on here. Like, half the time, I'm like, I don't even want to be doing this. I could be doing something else. Like, please help me put these degrees to use. Like, and several times I told him that. And so for me, in those dark moments, it really was a matter of against all hope, believing in hope. Because when you're down to nothing and it's just so overwhelmingly heavy, and for me it was a situation of like, okay, I got knocked down, but I'll get back up. I'll get back up. Okay, get knocked down again. Okay, you know what? Gotta go bruises. We about to do this. And then like the third time I was like, you know what? Kill yourself. I'm not gonna make it, Lord. And then it was still like, okay. I know it sucks. I know it's hard. Right. Come on. And really, it was just that choosing to be like, okay, against all hope. And I have two tattoos. One says, "My time's your hands," which is from Psalms 31:15, and the other says, "Naija no they carry last." And
I've seen. Okay,
yes.
I've seen. Yes.
So
yes.
like, and
Oh
that
my
literally
gosh.
means like Nigerians, we don't finish.
Right.
We don't finish second place. We don't finish last. So it's like between God and country, it's like we gonna make it.
Right.
But I also know like my full name is Yvonne Orji, and that translates to Archer of Happiness, Daughter of a King. So I know that part of my purpose in this
Guys,
industry.
look up your name. You need to have the meaning in your back pocket. Okay, you need to bring that out.
Just bam.
Love that.
But so I know that for me, wherever I go, I'm supposed to be an Archer of Happiness.
Yeah.
Like I shoot that into the atmosphere, and so I knew that it doesn't end in defeat. It like something fruitful, something joyous has to come from all of this heartache. And honestly, when you talk about going back to the first question, just so much has changed in a year.
I know.
But it was just the doing what you know to do, even when none of it makes sense. Because that's literally Issa saw me the first time in 2008, and it's like I love, and I know it's my story, so it's like I love my story, but like no, I love this story because it's like it reminds me that nothing is ever wasted.
Yeah.
A video I shot in 2008 randomly at some like wedding, and it was like right when Obama was about to be president. Like we were like, oh my God, could it be? And I posted it, and it was right before I went to Liberia, and Issa saw it, unbeknownst to me, I think, and I guess that's when she was like, oh yeah, I became a fan. And I was like, what? So of course, when I moved to LA in 2012, I'm like, Awkward Black Girl, what is this amazing contraption? Let me like soak it all in. So I'm here, and I tweet her, and I'm like, what up, girl? I'm in LA, we should get together. Because in my mind, if you're dope, I think we should be dope together, and we're actually best friends.
Right.
You just don't know it yet. So
that was for you, J-Lo. Anyway,
exactly. So, so what she responds, like she DMs me and she's like, hey girl, welcome to LA. Like, yeah, come through. Like, we're having game night. And I was like, did Issa just respond back to me? Like, why? And so of course I'm just like, not knowing that she like knew about me all this years past. Right. And so I get to her house and she's like, yeah, I saw your video about like if Obama became president and I'm half Senegalese. And I was like, so it was just like we already had this like African connection, but then like throughout the years, and literally that was probably the first and only time that we were like in close proximity, like on like a GP level, and that was like 2012. So, but in the interim, I would host things and she would be there and it'd be like, hey girl, hey, and we just kind of respected and admired each other from afar. I was never in any of her like other web creations. It was just like, girl, you doing it, girl, and girl, you doing it,
right.
And so it really was a shock where in 2015 she's like, yeah, so HBO's moving forward, and and I'm like, God, what? Like just the seeds that were dropped where you didn't have to be hustle and press like Issa, put me on. Right, what about this next show? It was just like game recognized game. I respect your craft and you respect my jokes and stuff, and it was still like I still had to audition 5 times, so it was nothing that was guaranteed. But it was just so awesome that one, you remembered me, because that's always like I'm always so appreciative because my resume is just the art that I put out.
Who you are, yeah.
And so the fact that you remembered, I'm like, yo, I'm grateful.
By the way, guys, she's talking about her new show called Insecure that's going to be premiering in October.
On HBO.
I'm so excited. We have the trailer, so we're going to play that, and then we'll be right back.
We got y'all offers after school tutoring, mentoring programs. So do y'all have any questions?
Why you talk like a white girl?
You caught me. I'm rocking blackface.
It's racist.
Shorty, what? You doing this?
Is this what you all want to do?
Issa,
What's on fleek?
I don't know what that means. I know what that means. Get it.
Why ain't you married?
I'm breaking up with him tonight.
No, you're not.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not.
My dad said ain't nobody checking for bitter ass black women anymore.
Black women aren't bitter. They're just tired of being expected to settle for less.
Yak it to the yak.
Her outfit settled for less.
Dance, you doing this? That's how they do it, but they from.
Yeah, you guys have to check that out. It's going to be on HBO, so if you don't have a subscription, get a subscription, people.
You can do it HBO now. You can do HBO. There's so many ways you can do it.
So Molly Carter is your character, right?
Molly Carter is my
character. What? Okay, so you get the script. They say, hey, you're playing this role.
Yes.
What do you bring to the table immediately? What are you like, oh my, what did you identify with Molly?
Well, you know what's funny is so I told you about like that one time that I met Issa in 2012. Well, I just happened to be around her friends. And so I just heard how they communicated with one another. I just heard like when they were cursing each other out, it wasn't like, I hate you. It was just like, this is how we just talk. Like, this is for fun. And so when I got the script and I got the sides, I was like, oh yeah, they don't mean it. Like this is their language. Yeah. This is actually their love language. Right. And so I remember being like outside the audition hall for the very first one, and I just heard girls, and I was like, I have to go. But I heard girls like cursing like Issa's character out. And I was like, they make it and they make up. Like, they gonna be friends. She threw the series, y'all. She coming back. Right. But it was like they were just like putting an exclamation mark and a period, like, we not gonna make it. And I was just like, okay. And so in my mind, I was like, oh, because I know firsthand, like, this is just how they talk. Right. I'ma just make this light, even though it's a whole bunch of F words or B, you not gonna, it's just like, I'm gonna just make it fun and light because I feel like that's what the character is a little bit. And so for me, obviously being a comedian, it was bringing that sense of humor and just sarcasm, more sarcasm to the role than anger, I think. Because I think what their friendship is funny, because I told Issa, I was like, I don't really have friends like how
that we can catch each other out.
Yeah. I was like, my friends are uplifted. They be praying for me, sowing seed in my life. Like, this is really interesting. but everything they do is based off love, and so it was just really interesting for me to kind of tap into this character that is kind of very different from me.
Wow. Okay, so even with that, when you do pick roles spiritually, because you have talked a lot about spiritually, how do you kind of make that decision? Of course, you're guided by what you believe, and that's amazing, and especially something I can relate to. But if you have a moment, you see a script, you're like, this is so not me. Do you feel weird about it?
Well, the thing about it was it's not. I have to figure out what the evolution of the character is. Can I do this role and look myself in the mirror and my parents in the face? Right. Because at the end of the day, they're not dead, and I'm still trying to be in the will. I'm just saying, like, long life and all. I just want my plot of land, couple goats, just facts, right? And so, but at the same time, knowing that, like for instance, like Molly Carter is different from Yvonne Orji, right? And so, understanding that Yvonne Orji still has a brand, I know that I have to bring something a little bit different to the character, but also being able to like do that and maintain as much of the brand that I want to put out as much as possible. So it takes a lot of conversations to just be had and be like, hey, how do you envision this character? Okay, this is what I'm comfortable like with and doing, and I think that it just helps to be vocal and just be honest. And at the end of the day, I think everyone just wants a funny and good product that's authentic. And I think we were able to kind of bring that to the character.
That is awesome. So in your audition process, I want to say, like, okay, as an auditioner, what are you like? But then I also want to add on, as a woman of color, how does your audition change? Do you ever see a script and you're like, I'm a woman of color, I have to do this,
I have to black it up?
Yes. Do you feel that way?
Well, here's the thing. Auditions are horrendous for me.
They're horrific.
I think in this process, maybe the first and fourth audition. So the first audition, it was just me and Vicki Thomas, the casting director, who's actually an African American woman. Right. And she I'd never been in with her, and she'd never met me. And so it was so calm and relaxing, because it was like, all right, I got nothing to lose. All right, let's go. Let's have fun. Right. And, she was like, oh, you're funny. I was like, well, thank you, boo. This is what I've been doing and stuff. But then the second and third audition, I was just like, oh my God, because it was overwhelming. They had the director, Melina Matukas, who did like the Formation video and has done videos, so many adult music videos, right? So she's in there, Prentice Penny, the showrunner, Larry Wilmore, and I'm just like, why there's so many people in here? Right. And, for me, I'm like, I'm a comedian. I got this. I can perform in front of audiences. And it wasn't like I was nervous, but it was just like, okay, you're in your head a little bit. Yeah. And so that was like the second and third audition. But then by the fourth, it was the the chemistry read with Issa.
Right.
And that was the only time I think I walked out feeling like, you know what? If they don't want me, then this was never my role. Like, 'cause it was just like Issa and I being goofballs,
Right.
and just been like, girl, how you doing?
Right.
And I walked out there like, I walked out there like, can't tell me
Confident.
nothing.
Yes.
But then, of course, like after the test at HBO, which was the 5th audition, I walked out like,
What was the big difference there?
oh my gosh. Well, one, you're at HBO.
Yeah.
So they've already sent you the contract. So you already see like what you could be making. You like, I'm about to be debt free. I'm about to be debt free. You know, like
They cannot give you the gold before you actually. That's horrible.
They give you the gold.
Oh,
legal
Lord.
comes in. You got to sign off. So you're just like, oh my gosh. And then you realize it's like you and 2 other people going out for the same role. So it's just like 1 out of 3 of y'all is gonna be happy in about a couple hours, and the other person gonna be real hurt and like sad.
Wow.
So it's just like, oh my gosh, you know. And then you walk in, and it's an auditorium. Well, the way it was for us, it was like an auditorium. You walk down these steps, and like it's dark, it's dimly lit, it's HBO folks in executive suits.
Oh my
And you
gosh.
know, it's in the audition process, like Prentice or Melina or Issa, they're like giving you laughs, like they feel it. They're like, ah, that was cool, that was cool. You know, here, ha.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't imagine.
I was like, ah! So really, literally, like it's funny. I tell the showrunner, I was like, I feel like I heard you and Melina like giving me like a pity laugh, and he was like, no. But what happened was really like in that last audition, I was like, I may not get any energy from anybody here. And so what clicked, and this is when I said God uses everything. What clicked was I was like, you know what? Pretend that you're doing a comedy show and you got 5 minutes and you might be bombing, but we don't leave the stage.
Right.
We finish our set, and you know what? If they didn't enjoy it, it's not because you didn't give it your all.
Right.
And so I just kind of switched into that. Like I can only do what I know to do, man.
Yeah.
I can't do cartwheels when I do front flips. So let me just do these front flips, you know. And so I walked out of there so defeated. I was just like, God, I feel like I tried so hard, and this was gonna be our come up. And as I'm walking in my car, I promise you, I hear Holy Spirit say, can you please be quiet? Like, you don't even know what I'm working out behind the scenes.
Oh.
And I was just like, you right. Because whoever does it, you know, like, if one door closes, like, I'm just encouraging myself, like, another door will open. You're going to make a window where there was no window. Like,
In a new house.
yeah. And then, like, what's crazy is I had to go back into the building for something. And it was weird because, like, I had spent so much time, like, crying in my car. So I go back into the building, and, like, everyone's coming out. And I was like, they cannot still see me here because I was supposed to be gone, like, 15 minutes ago. It was horrendous.
Oh, my
And
gosh.
so then, you know, Issa leaves, Prentice Lee, Melina, and they're like, you still here? I was like, you know, I'm just, you know, I'm waiting for some, okay, just keep going, guys. Just keep going.
Hurry up.
And so then the casting director comes back, and she's like, you still here? I was like, I promise I'm not lurking, y'all. I'm not. This is so bad. And then her assistant whispers something in her ear, and I was just like, okay, I just look away. And so she goes, well, have a nice weekend. I was like, oh, thank you, you too. And she goes, because you booked. And I was like, ah! Like at that moment, like I lifted up the I lifted up her assistant and like flung her around like she was not a grown woman. I was like, I'm so sorry. I don't know my own strength. Like Letty and Mice of Men. I'm so sorry. And so I cried because I was just like, how is this possible? And
Oh my
it was
girl,
crazy.
that just got me emotional.
So that's how I found out. But then I couldn't say anything because it was like they had it announced. So I was like,
Did you tell your parents?
Did I tell my parents that day? I think I called them, but I think it became real when like the Deadline article came out, and I like sent them the picture. I was like, I booked, and they were like, we thank God, you know,
Yes,
blessings.
This worked out because we don't know what you're doing out there. I know.
We don't
I was still
know.
confused. I love it. So we have this comedy journey, we have this acting journey, this writing journey, which is so beautiful, and really from what you've talked about a lot, it's very personal. where are you when you're writing? Do you need coffee? Are you Starbucks? Are you Coffee Bean? Are you outside in the park? Are you in Echo Park? Are you in an apartment? Where are you?
I'm people don't know this about me. I am such a homebody. Like when I'm not around people, because like it's my job to be around people. I love being around people.
Yeah.
But when I'm not around people, I'm like a hermit. Like it's almost to the point like, did you shower today? did you eat? Like, and so for me, writing, I'm kind of I'm gonna just be here with this computer for the next 12 hours and just bang it out.
Right.
Which is the way like I process stuff, because I'm just like, how do I, and I'm rethinking, but then I'll have to like maybe like get an eat break. I'm at home. Like I feel like if I'm at a coffee store, I get distracted very easily. And I just be like, oh girl, your shoes are cute. Then we just talked for 5 minutes about your shoes. And then now, I'm on the website for Coach, like, what are these new Coach shoes? And so it's like, let me just be in my house.
Right.
I can keep the TV off, and then just kind of bang it out. But so now it's like, now that we're done shooting, I'm back to writing. I'm working on a feature. We're still like banging out first gen. So we're hoping for some good news about that soon. So
I love it.
But like, the train does not stop.
Of course.
You have to keep creating. And I mean, I think Issa's an amazing example of just parlaying one opportunity to the next. You know, she's creating with the Color Creative. She has Issa Rae Presents, and she's what I love about Issa is that she highlights other people who may not have gotten that shine. And she's like, well, I have a platform, and I feel like through this platform I can highlight dope people that I'm aware of that I don't know
so
how.
obvious in what she's doing.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, my goodness, her YouTube channel alone, how many other people have I been able to even watch? I'm like, this is a beautiful
amazing
gift, and I think it's something that you guys share, because I can tell that even the people that you said you work with on your team, like the way that came together, it's very like, we got to be dope and we got to put each other on.
We got to, and then
awesome.
Everyone on my team is just like it was so funny, because just this journey, like a year ago, we were kind of like no names, and then now it's like Kay is, a dope writer on so many dope shows, and then Marquita is at NBC in casting, so it's like, man, we came up.
Right.
We came up.
You did this. I love this. So we have comedy, we have acting, we have writing, and then I want to just touch on the personal life right quick, because I love...
Did my mama send you?
Right. Like, girl, talk about dating. No, I'm kidding. But kind of not to, but kind of really. Rock Your Stance.
Yeah.
Is that still going on, and what's going on with that?
It is. Rock Your Stance.
Give us a quick snippet in case guys don't know that.
Rock Your Stance is a clothing company that I started in 2008. I mean, it's no secret. I'm 32 years old and I'm a virgin, and I'm waiting till I get married. And that's something that is important to me. And I feel like a lot of people think people like me they're unicorns and non-existent, but I'm like, actually, we are lesions. There are many of us.
Right.
And so I just wanted like clothing, so that you can eliminate some of the conversations, and then you can just like rock your stance, literally, unashamedly, unabashedly. And so one of our shirts says "Keeping it locked till I get that rock," and it's
you guys. That's just like, wait, what? Like, just say it again for me, please.
Keeping it locked till I get that rock. Yes. Yeah.
I don't have words. Continue.
Yeah, but and for me, I'm like, I feel like it shuts down unnecessary conversations. Oh, look, what you trying to do, sir? Can you read?
Oh,
okay. Well, what kind of rock we talking about, sir? Not today.
Okay, just a quick. What's your deal breaker in a relationship? As the person that is going to deserve you, what is your deal breaker? What do people need to know?
I love honesty. Honesty for me, it's so funny, because we're binging The Night Of. And I don't know if you're watching this, The Night Of on HBO.
Right.
And it's one of those things, my roommate, before I started, she was like, just so you know, nobody can hear you. Like, because I'm the yeller at the TV. And so in it, there's so many things where I'm just like, you should have just told the truth. If you just told the truth. Like, it's just like, you didn't have to, you're going to call the police. Like, it's just like, in my mind, I'm like, the truth, like Dr. King says, the truth needs no alibi.
Yeah.
Like, it just,
Remind us.
it's what it is.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm like, I can deal with a lot of stuff.
Right.
Just tell me the truth and let me figure it out.
Yeah.
Don't try and spare my, I did this because I want to spare your feelings. You don't know about my feelings. Like, tell me the truth, and I'll figure out what my feelings are based on this. But now when I feel like, is she lying to me? Is he lying to me? How did we get here? And so it's just like,
it's a lie.
Was everything else a lie? Like, now I'm like going back to where this started, and it could have been just this one thing.
Yeah.
But so honesty is big for me. And, it's funny because being out here, and of course, I'm very vocal and very open with Rock Your Stance. And you know, some guys are like, oh, okay, cool. We've heard this before. All right, so we're just going to give it about 3 or 4 days.
Right, I'm going to go ahead and touch her thigh.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I've heard that. That's so hilarious.
But my friend had to tell me, he was like, Yvonne, you do have to realize, he's like, there's a lot of chicks that are giving what you trying to do a bad name. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, I've met I'm waiting, I'm a virgin, and it's just like copy. Date 2. I mean, I don't usually do this, but, and it's like, what?
Wow.
And so he was like, that's what we're used to.
interesting.
So when you come along and you say the same, you know,
lines,
verbiage,
right.
and I'm like, okay. And I was like, oh, y'all got me twisted.
That's really interesting.
So it's interesting, but again, I'm just like, yo, I can only be me, so I can't call what your experience has been. But like, this is Yvonne Orji. That's why I was like, Jesus, this last name is so much false advertising. It's so much false advertising. You got me set up. Like, I got questions.
I can't. Okay, you guys. So we're gonna have to wrap up very shortly. But last but not least, your biggest inspiration.
Man, my mom. My mom, like, hands down, my mom is my biggest inspiration. Yeah. Like, she loves hard. My mother, when I tell you, my mother worked at Howard University. I could have gone to Howard and not ever known who Sally Mae was. But I got into GW, and at the time, GW was like $2,000 a year. And my mother, at no point did she say, but you can go to Howard for free. In fact, no, that's where you're going. She was just like, you got in? This is where you want to go? Okay. Wow. We'll figure this out. If we sell the house, we'll sell the house. If I have to sell the car. Like, she was just like immediately making plans. And I was like, who are you?
Wow.
And for her, like, her children are like, were and still are like her bloodline, her life beat. And she worked so much and she sacrificed so much. And I only know I have African woman syndrome because of my mom. Right, it's just like, fail. You don't know me. And like, and I would watch my mom, and I know my personality is attached to her. Like, the greatest inheritance I have is her smile. Hands down, I thank her for her smile because that's what I have. But I would go to work with her, and my mom would say hi to the janitor and to the head of ER in the same walk. And it was just, hey, Johnny, how are the family? Wonderful. Dr. Caldero, how's everybody? Like, it's just like, how you know everybody? Like, she's like, you speak to everybody nicely. You don't know if you're entertaining angels. So just mind yourself. And I'm like, that's dope.
You guys.
So,
if you need a new mama. No, I'm kidding. I don't feel like she's sharing.
She'll feed you.
Right. I'm like, just in case you need a friend.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say from the bottom of my heart, I am so proud.
Oh my gosh.
And now that I'm like, I've kind of heard it on the outside, but just like watching it and seeing it, like, you have been so passionate in everything you do. And like, this is nothing. This is seriously nothing. Like, and that's what's so beautiful, that it's nothing. Like, isn't that crazy? Like, it's great, but it's like, girl, you about to be on that Shonda Rhimes Viola Davis lifestyle. I'm not even playing. You better claim it.
That was
claim that. Now it's just you have to define that. In my head, I was like, oh my God, I totally know what you're saying. Okay, it's too much. I love you. Please give your information so everybody can keep in touch.
Yes, at Yvonne Orji. That's on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. That's YVONNEORJI. www.rockyourstance.com. And, look out for Insecure, firstgenshow.com.
All right.
All one word. I mean, it's just I'm just so happy. I'm so proud of you. Talk about, like, this is a bomb interview. First of all, you did your homework. I was like, dang, she know that too? What else she know? Like, I should stop talking. She got it. She know about me. So congratulations to you. And honestly, like, this is dope that, like, you knew what you wanted to do and you're going for it. I was such a punk. Let me tell you right now, I was such a punk, just trying. I got 2 degrees because I was a punk. Like,
but even, girl, and we're gonna have to talk about that off camera, and hopefully, maybe we'll Snapchat that entire conversation for you, because the fact that you did public health, to me, I see that coming back up for you.
Oh, absolutely. My goal is to be a Goodwill ambassador. I want to be a WHO or Goodwill ambassador. Yep.
Wow,
That's
God, it just keeps. If you're not checking the Twitter, you're tripping. I am in awe. You guys, make sure you tune in for another Spotlight on sooner rather than later. You guys can check me out on Twitter and Instagram at OneTakeStace. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you very soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Are we dancing it out?
Hey!
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.